Good evening and welcome everyone to another edition of Friday with Friends. Today's friend, Erika Lawrence. Hi, Erika.
Hi.
Erika is originally from the cold mountains of Virginia and found her way down to sunny South Florida, where she's now living her best life as a certified Hatha Yoga instructor and a daily student of Raj Yoga meditation. Welcome, Erika.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I know that you normally don't like to be the person out in the front, so thank you for developing the power of yoga to come and face being out in person. Glad you're here. The title given to today's talk is From Hatha Yoga to Raja Yoga, and the little subtitle underneath is Power Without Force. So, Erika, first question. When you hear that title, From Hatha Yoga to Raja Yoga, what comes before your mind?
I think that Hatha Yoga is a gateway to a more elevated version of yoga, Raja Yoga, Royal Yoga. A lot of yogis who practice Hatha Yoga are doing it in hopes to become more enlightened, and the Raja Yoga is what takes you there.
You know, I too have practiced Hatha Yoga, and I agree with you on that theory that people want to go from Hatha Yoga to Raja Yoga, but I don't see a lot of people making that transition from Hatha to Raja. What's the word Hatha mean anyway?
Depends who you ask, but the simple version is forceful yoga, putting your body into certain postures and with a little bit of force using the breath.
I see. So Hatha itself means force, and Raja means royal or sovereign or king, like Maharaja. So that transition to go from maybe you need some force in order to get to such an elevated position. I was interested in coming up, preparing for this class. I was looking up some words, and I was looking for the word easy because I wanted to check what an easy pose was. And the word easy translated as asana. So the word asana, which Hatha yogis think means pose, really means easy. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. It took me a while to learn that the yoga is supposed to be easy. It is forceful to begin with, but once you reach that pose, you're then supposed to repose, disengage, and be easy in the pose, only using the muscles necessary for that particular pose.
I see. So in the cold mountains of Virginia, where I read in your bio, I don't imagine there's a lot of yoga going on there. How did you even know that you wanted to begin such a practice as this?
Well, I've always had some kind of interest in it, but it wasn't probably until my mid-20s that I got the courage to go to a class. Seeing it seems, some people think you're not doing much or it's easy, but to me it looked more intimidating. And my first class was, intimidating. You don't really know anything, so you're just trying to do the best you can. But growing up, I probably would have been persuaded to not join any type of that thing because it might be considered new age without really knowing what new age means. So I just finally, needed to do something different than just working out at the gym and looking for something a little bit more elevated, that would bring me what I thought was more peace or zen, and finally got the courage to take a class. And I didn't stick with it after that, because I was intimidated, but eventually I made my way back and got into it deeper.
And so just following that story, that through line on, how did you make the transition from Hatha Yoga to Raja Yoga?
Well, my yoga teacher at the time did recommend it to me after being consistent in the class for a couple months. It wasn't really something I was looking for, it just kind of came to me. So I was just in a bad place in my life and just open to, again, finding some kind of peace, even though the Hatha Yoga was a natural therapy for me at the time, just breaking me down and opening me up to find the meditation. And so I went to a Wednesday night class and fell in love, felt right at home, and thought like, oh, wow, this is what I've been looking for. This would have been very helpful for me, maybe when I was younger and through college, but so grateful that I came upon it, and then stayed with the classes, Wednesday night classes, and then later took the more in-depth course of Raja Yoga.
Interesting. And thank you for sharing that. I was listening to you talk, it made me think that what might be interesting to do is to take some of the more well-known poses from the Hatha Yoga syllabus and apply them, not so much the postures themselves, but maybe what is the mental postures that I would assume in order to successfully demonstrate that pose. You willing to try?
Yes.
Okay. Number one is like the basic, just the sitting pose. It's normally called easy pose, which now you could think of as a happy, easy pose. It's a preparation pose. So could you tell me a little bit about what it is in Hatha Yoga, and then how you would interpret that same pose inwardly in terms of Raja Yoga?
You're talking about Sukhasana?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, most of the Hatha classes are started in this way, and the meditation class as well. So you might be sitting in this position in the meditation for over an hour. So the way I look at it is, in the Hatha classes, people, that could be their first time of the day, just sitting and trying to calm the mind, to prepare the mind for the physical class. In Raja Yoga, also sitting there to still the mind and focus so that we can imbibe the lesson or the knowledge that is to follow. So I think it's just sitting there and trying to not let the thoughts overtake, but focus more in and just prepare for what's to come, so you can then easily absorb that.
Thank you. Let's take another one. How about another famous one, Virasana, or the warrior pose? It could either be the warrior one or warrior two. It doesn't really matter what it is in Hatha Yoga, and then how do you interpret that in terms of Raja Yoga?
Okay, so in Hatha Yoga, your legs are spread, your feet are grounded. So you're supposed to remain stable, calm, but in a warrior status, looking beyond maybe the obstacles and the outcome. In Raja Yoga, also, we're going to have storms and obstacles that come into our life, but staying stable and strong and grounded to get through those days, using that power within to know that it will be okay.
And it sounds very practical, but just in terms of doing something new, like I'm sure this is probably the first time you've been interviewed. I mean, I remember asking you in the past if you would do that, and the answer was no. And I was pleasantly surprised when you said yes. And so that tells me that you've been enacting your warrior pose by just, it's like the power to face is what comes to my mind, is that you're looking straight ahead and you're not so sure of the outcome. Maybe you even feel a little bit shaky internally, but you're facing it anyway, kind of confident, maybe. Maybe there's some trust involved in that. Would you say that that resonates with you?
Yes, definitely some trust. You have to just kind of let it go, but there's also that hatha part of it, and maybe forcing myself to do it.
Forcing yourself.
So like a service, and knowing that when it's over that I will benefit and, become stronger, stronger
Well,
in my voice.
that's true. It's true. And just by doing it, we don't even know, but maybe there's some level of trust that's also being there, like the will and the trust that, that you have the power to do it. And while you were explaining that, and I could feel that, is it reminds me that in Hatha Yoga, they have like the 8 limbs, the 8 parts that make up Ashtanga Yoga, which is a big part of it. In Raja Yoga too, what Raja Yoga, in learning it, is Hatha Yoga is one of the limbs of Raja Yoga. It's all the yogas combined, whether it's devotion or renunciation or using my intellect. All this is part of it. So there's no real conflict between Hatha Yoga and Raja Yoga. It's the flexibility of the body maybe turns into a flexibility of the mind, would you say?
Definitely, yes. I think that we should point out what is Raja Yoga, because that's also used in the physical Hatha Yoga world, but the type of Raja Yoga that we are talking about today. So to me, Raja Yoga is the ultimate yoga, or all the yogas combined, and being able to be in control of the mind and our senses and surrendering devices.
Okay, and another pose, Vrikasana, or the tree pose. Maybe a little bit of talking about it, what it is in Hatha Yoga, and then how that translates into Raja Yoga.
Okay, in Hatha Yoga, you're standing maybe on one foot, balancing the other foot against the ankle or in the inner leg of that grounded leg. And then growing your tree, becoming more stable, spreading the limbs of the tree, blossoming. They don't really get so much into the meaning of it, just more the working out the pose. But deeper into Raja Yoga is, also being grounded, but having a strong foundation and the roots of that. So again, when the storms come, you're able to be flexible and sway and give and take with those storms and obstacles, and still stay grounded in the foundation of your natural self and who you are, and all the knowledge and power that we've attained.
I like what you said about the roots and the storm swaying. And then even when your arms are out, you're kind of like offering a fruit. So even though the storm might be the method of you to offer fruit to someone. Let me ask you this, I like the way that you're explaining the internal part of it. Do you ever practice this while you're practicing Raja Yoga, do you ever think like this about the inner pose while you're doing it?
Yes, maybe not so much in the beginning. It's just going through the motions and figuring it out. But you definitely can make your Hatha Yoga practice a meditation and, have those moments of those thoughts and positive points and maybe, serving through the mind, giving out that type of energy in the class or the person beside you and, really feel that happening.
Okay, let's do one more if you would. How about the lotus pose, Padmasana? What is that in Hatha Yoga, and how do you translate a lotus pose into Raja Yoga?
Well, it's a very difficult pose in Hatha Yoga. I'm only able maybe to do like a half lotus. So that might say something about where I am in my Raja Yoga life. Half lotus, but being open in the hips there to sit. And again, you could use that as a meditative pose, sitting as a sukhasana. In Raja Yoga, the lotus is a big symbol, and just staying grounded again with the roots underneath and the muddy water, but the lotus is, sitting above all of that and able to put out that vibration and light of beauty and just still remain calm.
Good. If you were to speak to like yourself in the past, or someone new coming in that's working on Hatha Yoga for some of the same reasons you do, to find some peace, to find some connection, to find calm in themselves, is there any advice you could give about, how Raj Yoga has helped you or their path? What would you say to someone that's also inquisitive on this journey?
Like I mentioned earlier, I think a lot of people are doing the Hatha Yoga looking for enlightenment, thinking that that is what's going to take them there. And I wouldn't discourage them from continuing their practice, but invite them to a Wednesday night meditation class and talking about yoga of the mind. Yoga of the body is fine, but yoga of the mind is really what's going to maybe take them to that next level of ascendant that they're looking for. The breath, is also incorporated, and the breath is a big part, opening up the body and blockages. But you can use that same breath there in the meditation class, and then just opening your mind up to simple topics, stuff that you might not even realize, but once you hear it, it's like, oh, that's so simple and so easy. And, why didn't I think of that? So just encourage them, keep inviting them.
Have you found some real life benefits for yourself in terms of your practical life?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Can you give an example?
Yes. Well, I feel coming to Raja Yoga and learning about the virtues, I feel that a lot of them are just very innately natural to me. And that makes me feel very good of where I'm at in my stage, especially with the way the world is today. So it gives me a lot of compassion for others and just always being positive, trying to, of course, I have bad days too, but going to work and being that positive force that everyone knows me as, and just kind of, someone's having a bad day, give them something nice to think about or just encourage them in that way. My sister recently she lived about an hour from our family in Virginia, and then she moved a little further. So she actually called me the other day, and I was kind of surprised, but asked me, how I dealt with moving from my family and, you know, not detaching, but not being sucked into whatever family trauma there might be and how I handle that. And unbeknownst to me, she had seen how I had done that transition and was successful in it and was seeking advice and how she could possibly learn from that. So it was a great conversation.
And that also probably feels good as well. That someone you respect, that they see that in you, that means that it must be happening if it's that visible. So
Right.
congratulations on that. All right, we've probably used up all of our time. See, it wasn't that hard, was it? It's,
No.
it's not hard at all. It's just a conversation between friends. That's all that it is. So you successfully practice the easy pose, the tree pose, and the warrior pose. So very good. So let's do a little meditation. I won't force you to do that, but please do invoke all those poses, and maybe I'll use that theme of different poses, and we'll do the shavasana, what's also known as the corpse pose, which is a pose that you normally finish every class with. So let's just start off, just sit in a comfortable position. Find your easy pose for sitting now. And then to increase the ease of the sitting, let's take a couple of deep breaths just to kind of purge the system of anything that's unnecessary. And in my mind's eye, I step away from all the action of the world. I bring all my attention inward. I just give myself permission to have a few moments of just concentrating on what's on the inside. My duties I can accomplish better by doing this. The heartbeat slows. The breath slows. I notice the physical organs quieting down. Maybe I even put them in the sleep mode. This gives me increased mental perception because I'm not wasting the energy. But I'm choosing to keep all my perception instead of escaping through the eyes and the ears and the mouth, to just focus inwardly, especially how I feel at this very moment. No judgment, just observing. And take another breath. goodbye, and we'll
Thank
see you
you,
the
Jeff.
next time on Friday with Friends.